3, 2, 1. Hey, what's up guys? Sean here with Video Influencers, helping you build your influence and your income with online video. The following content is brought to you in part by FameBit. FameBit is the #1 platform for YouTube, Instagram, Vine, and Twitter creators to connect with brands for paid sponsorships. Get signed up and start making money today at famebit.com. I'm super pumped to bring you Lewis Howes. How's it going?
Doing good, man. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. It's awesome to be here in WeHo.
Thanks for coming. WeHo, baby.
Come on, West Hollywood, and talking about your new book, talking about podcast and video. So, but for those watching, as we jump into it, some people maybe have never heard of you before, heard your story, and so how'd you get here today, and what's kind of been your progression?
I used to be a professional athlete, which we talked about before, and that was my only dream as a kid, to be a pro athlete. I got injured in my rookie season and was kind of in a depression state for a couple of years because I didn't know what was next. I didn't have a backup plan. I didn't have a college degree yet. And luckily, I had some incredible mentors and family that supported me and fed me for those 2 years because I wasn't making any money. Online marketing became available. I started to learn about it. I read a book 8 years ago called The 4-Hour Workweek that opened my mind to so many possibilities. And I started diving into social media, and that's how it started.
Wow, and when I study out your story, I see that in online marketing, you've had like a couple different things. You've done some LinkedIn things.
LinkedIn has started.
Now you really, of course, built this podcast.
Yep, webinars. Yep.
And so in that case, what was that transition like? Like how did you transition from a totally different niche and arena and into this online marketing area? And then every time kind of rise to the top. What are some of the tips there?
Yeah, I literally was in arena football and then went from that arena to LinkedIn and then from that arena to webinars, podcasting, and now the book. I think the entire time, every transition, I realized that one thing I wasn't excited to do anymore. You know, we have different things we go after in life that we're really excited about. We've got a lot of passion, but we go through different seasons. And I lost my passion for LinkedIn, but I said, how do I want to continue to impact people but also make an income? And that was with webinars. I really enjoyed that. And then I still do webinars, but I was like, I want to have a deeper impact on what can be more fun. Podcasting for me was that because I got to interview inspiring people. So I wanted to be able to share that wisdom with the world. And every new arena is just constantly finding the mentors, the people who have already been there, learning from them, and then trying it to see if I like it.
I love that. So you mentioned though that there's really you have to be passionate. Like you have to be having fun.
Of course. And for me, otherwise it's kind of like, what's the point?
I love that. So you kind of discover your passion and then learn and max it out with mentorship and learning from the best and the brightest.
That's it.
I love it.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about your book. We got The School of Greatness.
Yep.
And when's this come out?
October 27th.
October 27th it's going to be out, so if you watch this video after, it's already out. And there's a couple things on here. The Real World Guide to Living Bigger, Loving Deeper, and Leaving a Legacy.
Yes.
Let's hit like one thing from each of those. If we unpack what's in the book, there's those 3 areas, you know.
Sure. Well, I mean, the book is, I had this dream 8 years ago when I read The 4-Hour Workweek. I said to myself, one day I want to write a book that inspires possibilities in the minds of millions of people the way this book just did for me after I read it.
Wow.
So I said, what do I need to do? What do I need to create myself as a human being and in the world in order for me to put out a book that will have that much impact?
Yeah.
And so it's been an 8-year journey for this to come out. And through the process of interviewing, the world's greatest athletes and scientists and doctors and authors, I started to see these common themes. And I boiled it down to 8 common principles of greatness.
Okay.
That anyone could follow. And if you are following, it's going to help you get to the next level in your life. Whether you're a mom that just wants to have a better, more fulfilling relationship with your kids and your husband and do something on the side, whether you're an athlete going after your dreams, you're an entrepreneur that wants to make 7 figures, it doesn't matter who it is, it can help you get to the next level if you apply these 8 principles. So living bigger, for me, I believe that we're all born with dreams inside of us.
Yeah.
And we have an incredible opportunity to chase those dreams, but sometimes we don't do it. So for me, it's about living bigger and going after what we were born to do.
Okay.
And not holding back on that. Loving deeper, relationships I've discovered are the key to success in life. And the key to successful relationships are loving deeper and being more vulnerable and intimate.
Wow.
And really showing yourself. And I think we miss that sometimes. We're so busy, we're so focused on our own selves and our cell phones, whatever it may be. that we don't take time to connect like this.
Yeah.
And just look in someone's eyes and tell them what their dream is.
Yeah.
And how they feel. And listen. And so relationships are the key to success in my mind. And leaving a legacy. What is the impact we want to create on the world? You know, you're creating content. You're adding value to people through your videos and your messages right now. And so for me, I try to ask people, you know, what is it that you want to be remembered for? What's the legacy you want to live while you're alive, but also when you're not here? And every day we have an opportunity to make an impact. So how are you going to maximize that?
Man, I love it.
Yeah.
And super excited to dive into the book. And for those watching, before the book comes out, there's some things to jump into. Where's the website? And
yeah, I mean, you can just go right to Amazon and pick up a copy, but there's a bonus page, so where you can get a bunch of extra bonuses. If you go to greatnessbook.com/bonus with a capital B, that'll send you right to the page where you can see all these different things we're giving away when you buy a book.
That's awesome. There's a ton of value there.
Yeah.
Some other stuff that you can get in, maybe buy a couple books and you can give them away as gifts and things like that.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah, well, we'll definitely put all the info to that in the YouTube description and check that kind of stuff out. Now let's flip it. Let's jump into social media. And you've really built up of your brand as a social media influencer. But one of the things that I love is that there's just such a quality and an excellence around everything you do. What's been kind of your philosophy and your approach when it comes to social media?
There's so much noise out there. You know, there's so many people trying to do good work online. And what I've seen that works, that I like, is having quality branding, quality value content. That's what works. If you have a great branding and you're consistent with it, and you have great value with the content information you deliver, you're going to rise to the top. Then it's just a matter of differentiating with your voice and not being the same as everyone else. You know, someone like Gary Vaynerchuk, he's different than everyone else, so he stands out. Some people resonate, others don't.
Yeah.
It's being who you are, being the most authentic person with your voice, consistent with quality branding. And then I would say the third thing to really make it successful in social media, to build that brand, is to build the relationships with other influencers.
Yeah.
You know, that's one of the reasons I started the podcast, was to connect with influencers so that I could put out that content, that value, add value to them, but also associate myself with those influencers.
100%.
I think if you can follow those three things, quality branding, quality value of the content with your voice, and then connecting with the influencers, that's tough to beat.
That's a killer combination.
Yeah.
And I want to kind of go back to branding, because sometimes we think branding, that might be confused. Like, let's niche down on that.
Sure.
For you, what does that mean? I would assume it means you want to make sure your photography stands out, your website, and maybe people can't go to the level you're at, but being so intentional with that. I mean, you have so much attention to detail. What are maybe just tips in there?
I'm glad you see that, because I see that I still need to up my game. Like every day I'm like, oh, that kind of bugs me, or we're not where we need to be. So I'm constantly pushing the level of branding style. But what that means for me, when I was in 2009, when I launched my first website, it was like the ugliest looking thing.
Yeah.
And it was, I just felt like, oh, I can't keep promoting this. I have to up my game. So all the money I made, I put it into branding. And every year or two, I up my website. And I'm like, how can I push the boundaries to make this the most beautiful site in my space online?
Yeah.
So that people just have to comment on it and they all want to copy it.
Yeah.
That's where I'm coming from. In terms of social media posting content, again, it's the higher the quality of video. What I've done with my podcast is really investing in video quality, investing in the images. You know, I invest in the cameras like you have, and it's being very intentional, like you said. It's not just posting whatever. You know, I used to kind of just post whatever on Instagram and things like that. And then about a year ago, I was like, wait, there's something to this, that being intentional is going to help grow my audience. And I think about a year ago, year and a half, when I started to really look at Instagram, for example, as a great platform to grow your brand, I maybe had 5,000 or 7,000 followers about a year and a half ago.
Wow.
And then I became intentional, and now it's over 100,000.
Wow.
So,
Yeah, that's powerful.
Yeah.
Now, you've built a very influential podcast. 8 million downloads?
9.5 million.
9.5 million downloads as we're shooting this video,
yes.
so it'd be over 10 by the time people are seeing it. What are some of your tips? And sometimes one of the things we love to do with video influencers is help people think a little bit different.
Yeah.
Not just get into one maybe niche, one platform, and understand what else is out there. Podcasting. Why podcasting? What have you seen, and how have you had built such a successful podcast?
You know, I wish there was this incredible secret I could share about it. But it's pretty simple, and that's quality content, consistency over time, and being consistent with your marketing as well. So, I built it up. I didn't have that big of an audience when I started it almost 3 years ago. I had a pretty decent size, but I had the relationships with influencers from the years of previous stuff with my other business. So I was able to get a lot of great influencers on because I do an interview podcast. And I was just consistent. I said, I'm going to do it every week for this year. And I did one once a week. And then the second year, I said, I'm going to do it twice a week this year because people were asking for more.
Yeah.
The third year now, people said, we want more. So I said, I'm going to do 3 times a week.
Wow.
And so I'm at 240 episodes almost right now, over a 3-year period. And I still feel like I'm scratching the surface. But I'm almost 3 years in, at the end of 3 years, and I still love it. So I think a lot of people get into a podcast because they feel like they need to do it or they want to do it. And they'll talk about a topic for 6 months and then they're burnt out.
Yeah.
So I think if you're going to do a podcast, do something that you're committed to for the next 3, 5, 10 years.
Yeah.
If you really want to see it grow and build momentum around your brand and have an impact. I'm also constantly learning and educating myself on how to connect with people and interview people so I get the most value out of them.
Yeah.
So when I had Tony Robbins on my podcast, I was like, okay, this is a big opportunity for me. He doesn't do many interviews, but he was doing a bunch around his book tour earlier this year, and I said, I'm going to watch every interview I can find of him at this time and see what he's not saying.
Yeah.
He was saying the same thing. 90% of the things he was saying, he said in every interview.
Yeah.
And I was like, what can I ask him so he doesn't get thrown off, because I don't want to make him feel weird.
Yeah.
Because he wants to make sure he talks about his points for the book, but what can I pull out of him that's really going to be like, oh my goodness, I can't believe he said that.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to spread the message. And that's what's going to make everyone want to come listen to my interview with him as opposed to the other 100 interviews. And so I'm very intentional about researching, about asking those questions, and making sure that I'm doing something different than all the other podcasts. There's a lot of great podcasts out there. And if I was going to try to do the same thing, it'd be hard. I don't want to do the same thing as Pat Flynn or John Lee Dumas or some of these guys who are good friends of mine and they have great podcasts.
Yeah.
I want to do something that's unique to me and that's inspiring for me, that other people would be appreciative as well. So I think do something different, be yourself, be consistent, and constantly increase the value of the production. So I originally started with my iPhone.
Yeah.
And now I've got better equipment constantly. It's upping the game.
Yeah.
Each level, continue to evaluate and up your game.
That's really good. And what are your data do you have on demos of what kind of demographic podcasts are good to connect with, and what do you hear from your audience about when they consume that content? What's the most?
I mean, my demographic is mostly it's 50-50, a lot of it, and people over 25, between 55 range from all over the world. It's crazy because I'll be walking New York City and someone will stop me and say, I'm listening to your podcast right now, or I listen to it in the train every single morning.
Wow.
A lot of people listen to it when they're working out, when they're waking up, when they're cooking food, when they're going to bed, they'll listen to it. When they're driving, definitely a lot of people in the cars. The cool thing about podcasting, I love video. I think there's nothing that can compete with video in terms of building your brand in connection with an audience. However, podcasting competes in a different way, because you're not going to sit and watch an hour-long video while you're running on the treadmill, or while you're out in the world, or while you're in a car, or while you're in the subway. Maybe you watch a 2-minute video on Facebook, but you can listen and be in the ears of millions of people around the world for hours at a time, because they'll leave it on. And they can multitask and stay connected to it, or they'll listen to it when they're in bed or whatever, in the bathroom, something. So I think you got to figure out what medium works for you, and think of it as a long-term play. I remember when Marie Forleo started MarieTV on YouTube, she was only getting like 500 or 1,000 downloads per video for like 9 to 12 months.
Sure.
But she said, I'm committed to this once a week, and she's been doing it for years now, and now that's hundreds of thousands of downloads every video because of that consistency. So be consistent is the key, and over time you will build your brand.
Man, that's awesome. Now let's talk about video. And I know that your podcast is definitely your focus, but your YouTube channel is not a joke. Over 2 million views on the channel, and you've got a lot of videos. I like to discover some of your old videos where you were talking about you're just kind of teaching some content, teaching about online marketing. You've done that, and now you've kind of shifted in, and now every podcast episode gets a video.
Most of them,
and they look amazing.
Thank you.
So what's your video strategy?
I still see the value of video even though podcasting is way easier to produce, right? A lot less money, a lot less time and energy. You know, I've got a video crew that comes in and we try to film as many episodes as we can, but it's a lot of money, you know, to have high quality video and produce it, edit it, all that, you understand?
Yep.
And some people can't afford that, and it doesn't make sense because they're not going to get the views as much as they would with the downloads on podcasting. But for me, I'm looking at it as a long-term play. This content's going to be evergreen forever. I want people to be able to watch one video and then get lost in my feed and be like, wow, there's so much great value and content.
Yeah.
And just every day there's going to be views, people watching because they see, you know, tons of previous content. It's added a lot of value to my brand. I get a lot of TV and press that discover me because of YouTube, or they'll see an interview and then they see more and they're like, oh, this guy can be on camera.
Yeah.
This guy can present himself well.
Yeah, that's smart.
And so I look at it as an investment in my future, in my business, in my brand. And this content's going to be there, you know, until I delete it, if I ever do.
Yeah.
So I think it's really valuable. And you got to do what works for you, though. You know, you got to do what's smart. You don't want to just invest too much if you can't handle it right now. But like, or just use a flip camera, your iPhone, and do, you know, less produced quality.
So let's hit that, because you mentioned the return on investment in video is huge. It's helped your brand. It's one of the best ways to connect.
Yeah.
But you put out this stuff that looks amazing, and you mentioned that costs, and you bring a team in.
Yeah.
What would maybe your tips be for the entrepreneur that's kind of trying to figure out how to get in?
Yeah.
They want to have that strong brand, and so they don't know iPhone-wise, like, is that going to work? I mean, what would you do if you were limited resource-wise, but you wanted to jump into video?
I mean, I would use an iPhone and, I don't know, maybe find someone on Fiverr to create like a little thumbnail thing that just makes it look semi-interesting in the intro.
Yeah.
And do shorter clips, you know, 2 to 3 minute clips, find a nice background, and be outside with decent lighting, and be consistent with it. I would focus on long tail keywords and those type of topics.
Yeah.
So that you're driving traffic, getting views, and creating awareness with those topics, and focus on that to start.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, talking about video, and one thing that I really wanted our audience to hear from you is this idea of webinars.
Yeah.
And along that same thing, that there's the possibility to not just, if you're in the YouTube bubble and you're creating YouTube content, you could expand, you could do some other things. Like webinars is definitely different, maybe not necessarily always on camera, but it's very much kind of video based and presentation based. But what is a webinar? Just for me.
Yeah, webinar is an online presentation. As opposed to going to a conference and hearing a speaker, you log in and you're essentially watching from your computer.
Okay.
So, I mean, the thing is, if you're an entrepreneur creating video on YouTube, you want to monetize it somehow. And if you don't have a big audience already, then you're not going to make money from ads, so how are you going to monetize it? The best way is to drive traffic to some offer, product, service that you have, where you can leverage that, convert those into leads. And the webinars are a great platform to teach even farther, because maybe people don't want to watch an hour YouTube video, they'll watch a 3-minute tip about something, and then you can opt them in for a 45 to 60-minute presentation where you're teaching more, and you can offer your product or service there. So it's all about building the email list, obviously, because people are watching you on YouTube, but you don't own that information. You don't own their data. So start sending them to places to opt in so you can leverage your impact and have greater influence.
So this is so smart, and video influencers audience definitely key in on this. So you start with your YouTube content maybe to just attract traffic, but then you move them to a place where you can get their email address, and then you could go deeper and really start teaching more. And a webinar, you'd say, is the best way to do that.
I think it is right now. I mean, there's a lot more people doing it, so that I think less and less, you're not getting as many people on as you would from years ago. Like more people would come on before, but now there's so many webinars constantly happening that I think the attention is spread too thin, but it still converts better than anything else I know for generating sales.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then what are some of, like, you have some resources out, what are the next steps maybe if someone's like, okay, I want to go a little deeper dive on just webinars in general and how maybe I could do that for my brand and my...
Yeah. I mean, I've got a free webinar you could watch, lewishowes.com/webinar will teach you everything for free right there.
Okay, perfect.
And you can opt in and see how it's run, and you can see if it's something you want to do yourself just by watching me do it.
Cool.
So you can go there, and I've got an ebook as well on Amazon about webinars. Check it out there. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Now, this is the lightning round.
Getting in the zone.
See, what does lightning look like?
Electricity.
The interpretive dance it, though.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah, that was it. Lightning round. Okay, go 3, 2, 1. Talking or texting?
Talking.
Ooh. Different in 2015. Person you trust most with a secret?
My brother.
Last thing you grabbed out of the fridge?
Salami and cheese.
Last song you had on repeat on your iPhone?
Oh man, this salsa song with Mark Anthony that I was just listening to all morning. I'm forgetting the name of it, but it's amazing. I'll tell you afterwards.
If you had to switch careers, and here's your options.
Oh wow.
WWE or American Gladiators?
Oh man, American Gladiators. I would crush that.
You would?
Yeah.
All right, coffee or tea?
Tea. Or can I say green juice?
Sure. This
green juice.
is all you. Green juice. Favorite nickname for yourself?
The Doctor.
Ooh, where'd you get that?
When I played arena football, House was big then, that show, House.
Yeah.
Doctor, or whatever the guy's name, whatever. And he was like, you're like the Doctor, you make precise cuts on the football field. So I was like, all right, I'll take
there
it.
There you go, slice and dice.
Exactly.
NYC or LA?
Oh man. I'm gonna have to say, even though I live in LA, I'm gonna have to say New York City.
Wow.
Yeah, it's epic.
Cat or dog?
I love dogs, but if you find a great cat that acts like a dog, then the cat.
Ooh.
Because you don't have to take care of it as much, and it's still like a dog.
It like likes to see you.
It like plays fetch, it just chills, you don't need to walk it.
Yeah. I love it. Pet peeve? Biggest?
I would say when people say they're gonna do something and then they don't do it.
Favorite holiday?
Christmas.
Favorite snack?
Green smoothie.
Harry Potter or the Hunger Games?
Hunger Games.
Taylor Swift or Justin Bieber?
Biebs.
Nice. Your favorite YouTube channel right now? Maybe something you've been watching on YouTube.
I like Gary Vaynerchuk right now. I like the way he's doing it with the content and information and connect with the audience, so I really like that. It's the first thing that popped in my mind.
Brilliant. Lightning round. What are some of the things that you have going on? Best ways to connect with you? We already mentioned the book.
Yeah.
But just your website, your social media, where are you most active?
Best way is lewishowes.com, has all the information there. You can find out about me, lewishowes.com/book. We'll send you right to Amazon. But I love being on Instagram right now, so I'm at Lewis Howes there and everywhere else online.
Awesome, awesome. Now at the end of your show, you always ask the person you interview what their definition of greatness is. And you've heard
a lot of answers. A couple hundred answers, yeah.
And somebody's probably asked you this a lot, but I'm curious if her video influencer.
Sure.
What is your definition?
The reason I ask is because everyone's got a different definition.
Yeah.
And I'm always curious to see what people say about it. So for me, and it evolves over time. But for right now, my definition of greatness, hopefully that's not greatness, the audio. But my definition of greatness is discovering what our talents and gifts are that we are born with, maximizing those gifts to pursue and follow our dreams, and then making the maximum amount of impact on the most people in the world we can with that process.
I love it.
Yeah.
Thanks again so much for being
brother.
on.
Appreciate it.
Hey, so thanks so much for checking out this video. Make sure to subscribe for more videos like this to help you build your influence and your income with online video. Thanks so much to FameBit. FameBit partnered with this, made this whole tour possible, and you can learn more about them in the YouTube description.
What is that?
FameBit is a great way for video creators to monetize in a different way. They connect brands with creators and creators with brands, and so you can start setting up deals, monetizing.
Nice.
It's super
check
cool.
it out.
And so yeah, we'll link them up. A great way to build your income with online video.
I like it.
And then also, I don't know, subscribe, comment.
Subscribe. Check me out. Check out my YouTube channel. I do lots of good stuff there. Check out the podcast, all those things. Leave a comment below. Tell me what you liked the most from this interview, or what was shocking to you the most by what we talked about in the comments below. And I'm going to be responding to these. So make sure to do that right now. Do it.
Thank you.
Do it.
Lewis Howes, ladies and gentlemen, is gonna rap.
My name is Lewis. We're in West Hollywood. And I don't know what rhymes with hood except for wood. Wood.